أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Surah Ar-Rad, lesson number 127. We'll begin from ayah number 11. له معقبات من بين يديه ومن خلفه. For each one are successive angels before and behind him. And what do these angels do? يحفظونه من أمر الله, who protect him by the decree of Allah. Lahu, for him. For who? Him over here has been understood in two ways. First of all, it has been said that lahu, for him, meaning for the human being. Which human being? Which has been mentioned in the previous ayat. If you look at the previous ayat, what is being mentioned? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about every single person. عَالِمُ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ الْكَبِيرُ الْمُتَعَالِ سَوَاءٌ مِّنْكُمْ مَنْ أَسَرَّ الْقَوْلَ وَمَنْ جَهَرَ بِهِ. It is the same to him concerning you, whether one conceals a speech or one publicize it. وَمَنْ هُوَ مُسْتَخْفٍ بِاللَّيْلِ وَسَارِبٌ بِالنَّهَارِ, and whether one is hidden by night or conspicuous by day. So every single person, no matter where he is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching him, and He is also listening to him. Whether he is trying to hide in the darkness of the night, or he is exposed by the day. Whether he is hiding something in his heart, or he utters it out loud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And on top of that, for each person, Allah has also appointed who? Mu'aqibat, angels. And these angels, what do? They guard his deeds at the command of Allah. So lahu, who refers to? Insan, the human being. Every single human being. For each person. And secondly, who has been understood as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then this lam will be understood as lam of milkiyah, of possession. Meaning lahu, it belongs to him. The mu'aqibat, the angels, they belong to who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning they have been sent by Allah. It's not that the angels come and go by themselves. No. They have been sent by who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So lahu mu'aqibatun. And mu'aqibat is a plural of mu'aqibah. From the root letters, ayn, qaf, ba. Aqib. Aqib is heel. And mu'aqibah is one who comes on the heel of the other. So just imagine, the heel is towards the back of the foot. It's at the end of the foot. Now as a person is walking, what does he leave behind himself? Footprints. Or as a person is walking, just imagine another is right behind him, and sometimes it happens that people are walking in a line, and one person's foot ends up touching the other person's heel. So mu'aqqiba is one who comes on the heel of the other, meaning one who comes right after the other. Successor. One who pursues the other. So, mu'aqqibat meaning angels. And why have they been called mu'aqqibat? Because they come in succession. They come in rotation by night and day. So first of all, they have been called mu'aqqibat. Why? Because these angels, they follow one another. There is a group of the angels whose duty is during the night. As they leave, the angels during the day, whose duty is during the day, they come. So they come by shifts, one after the other. Some by night, and some follow them during the day. And then they are followed by the ones who come at night. And this continues until the person dies. And the second reason as to why these angels are called mu'aqibat are because they are attendants, meaning they're always attending the person. They follow him around everywhere. So first of all, because they come by shifts, they follow one another. And secondly, because they follow the person everywhere, no matter where he is. لَهُ مُعَقِّبَاتٌ مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ, from before him, meaning towards his front, وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِ, and from behind him, meaning to his rear. The angels are surrounding him from everywhere. So where can he escape? How can he do something while hiding? Because think about it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears everything, He watches. And at the same time, He has also appointed angels who completely surround the person, watching him from every angle and recording everything that he's doing. يَحْفَظُونَهُ, and these angels, they guard him. They guard who? The insan, the human being. Why do they guard him? Min amrillah, at the command of Allah, because Allah has commanded them. Now what does it mean by the angels guarding the person? يَحْفَظُونَ from hifz, which is to guard something, to preserve something, to not let it go waste, to watch it carefully. So first of all, it has been understood as that the angels, they guard, meaning they preserve His actions and His words. No matter what He says, what He does, whatever He's engaged in, the angels are preserving everything. They are guarding everything. And these angels are? Which ones? Kiraman, Katibin. And secondly, guarding over here has been understood as that the angels protect the human being. They protect him from what? From all kinds of harmful elements that are around a person. It is said that there are at least 7 angels that protect a person's eye. Now just imagine. And it happens many times that, for example, you fall, or a person ends up in a car accident, or a child has a headlong fall, and you see that the injury is right by the eye. Isn't it? Isn't it? It happens so many times. And you say, Alhamdulillah, the eye is fine. It's right above the eye, right on the side. It's perhaps on the eyebrow even. But the eye is somehow saved. And you wonder, how is that possible? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enabled that. So, يَحْفَظُونَهُ, they guard him, meaning they protect him from all kinds of harmful elements that are around him. And not just physical, but as well as the danger of jinn. Like, for example, when you read Ayatul Kursi, then what happens? An angel is appointed to guard you, to protect you from shaitan, from the dangers of the jinn. And they also protect the human being from the evil of his actions. Because remember, every time we do something wrong, there are consequences. This is why we seek forgiveness, because istighfar is to seek Allah's protection from the consequences of our sins. So the angels, they also guard a person from the evil of his actions, and they also protect a person from committing sin. Did you know that? The angels, they also protect a person from committing sin. What's the evidence for that? The hadith in Sahih Muslim, in which the Prophet ﷺ said that there is no one among you, but there has been appointed for him one qareen, meaning one companion, from the jinn, and another from among the angels. So every single person who has been appointed to him, a companion from the jinn, and a companion from the angels. So the Sahaba asked, for you too, O Prophet ﷺ, meaning you also have a jinn companion and an angel companion? So he said, for me too. But Allah has helped me against him. Against who? Against the jinn companion. And he has become Muslim. So he does not tell me to do anything but good. So we see that every person, with him are appointed a jinn who inspires waswasa into the heart of a person to do wrong. And at the same time, Allah has also appointed an angel. And what does that angel do? What does he do? It inspires a person to do good. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the jinn qareen that he had become Muslim, so he only tells the Prophet ﷺ, he only encourages him to do good. You know, sometimes literally you want to do something and there's a conversation going on in your head. One side says do it and the other says don't do it. So sometimes this is what's going on. That the jinn is telling you do it, he's putting the waswasa in your heart, and the angel is saying no, stop, don't dare do it. So يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. The angels, they also guard a person from what? From committing wrong. They protect him, they save him. And also the angels, they guard a person from the punishment of Allah. How? By seeking forgiveness for the human being. By seeking forgiveness for the human being. Like for example, we learn that the angels, amongst the many things that they do, they also seek forgiveness for those people who have believed. وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. They seek forgiveness for those people who have believed. So, يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. They guard him at the command of Allah. And with regards to the angels coming by shifts, there is a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said that the angels, they take turns around you. The angels, what do? They take turns around you. Some at night and some by day. And all of them assemble together at 2 times. What are those two times? At the time of Fajr and at the time of Asr prayers. Then those who have stayed with you throughout the night, they ascend to Allah who asks them, and He knows the answer better than they about you, that how have you left my servants? In what state did you leave them? And they reply, as we have found them praying, we have left them praying. So the angels, when they leave at Fajr, and they give a report to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah knows already what the report is, but He asks them anyway, that how did you find my servants? They said, we left them praying as we found them praying. When we came for our shift, they were praying. What salah? Asr. And when we have left, they were still praying. What salah? Fajr. But if we're doing something else, then just imagine the report that is given and how it is spread amongst the rest of the angels as well. How embarrassing it would be. Just imagine if you miss your prayer and people find out about it. How do you feel? How do you feel? Just imagine if you pray your Fajr very late, or you don't pray at all, and somebody mentions that in the groups. This one didn't pray. How do you feel? Very embarrassed. Very, very embarrassed. And who is this being reported in front of? Just ordinary people. But just imagine, the angels give a report to who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What kind of report do we want them to give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every morning? Every single morning. It's our choice. So يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ, indeed Allah, لَا يُغَيِّرُ, He does not change. يُغَيِّرُ from the root letters, غَيْن يَا را, تَغْيِير. Allah does not change. He does not alter. What does He not alter? مَا بِقَوْمٍ, what is with a people. Meaning, the state that a people are on, are in. The state that a people, that a nation are in. Whether it is good or it is evil. Like for example, a people have been given many blessings. Or a people are suffering from many hardships. So it is a state. One state is of blessings, another state is of extreme hardship. So Allah does not change the state of a people for good or for worse, hatta until يُغَيِّرُوا, they change مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ, what is with themselves. What does it mean by this? That if a people have been given blessings, those blessings will not be taken away until when? The people themselves do something which is a cause of the blessings being taken away. Similarly, if a people are suffering from some hardship, that hardship will not be taken away until they do something themselves so that that hardship is removed. But generally, what is the behavior of people? That, especially amongst Muslims, we want miracles to happen. That just because we're Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should take care of us with regards to everything. We don't need to do anything. Nothing at all. And miracles will happen and we will change. And if you think about it, why is this being mentioned here? Right after the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows you, He watches you, He hears you, and He has appointed angels to watch you, to protect you, to guard you, and then He says that He does not change the state of people until they change themselves. Why is this being mentioned? Because when we hear about this, we want to, the fact that the angels are keeping a check on us, they're recording everything, we want to improve. Like for example, just this little discussion that we had about praying Salah, Fajr, and praying Asr, instead of sleeping at that time, instead of occupying yourself with other things at that time, it made us feel that we should be very particular, very punctual. But this change, this improvement cannot be brought until we bring about that change ourselves. What do we want? What do we think? That whenever Allah gives me tawfiq, then I will change. But yes, Allah does give tawfiq, but to who? The one who desires the change. The one who tries to bring that change. If, for example, you sleep late every day, watching something, talking to people, just wasting your time here or there, and you end up sleeping late, how is it possible that you're going to wake up on time? How is it possible? It's not possible. Similarly, if you don't set an alarm, if you're not in that habit, if you don't give yourself any incentive, then how are you meant to wake up early? How are you meant to pray on time? It's not possible. So in order to bring a change, what do you have to do? You have to do something yourself. You cannot wait for miracles to happen. Because sometimes we keep waiting, and in that we lose many, many chances. So Allah does not change the state of a people until they change themselves. Similarly, if a person is suffering from a hardship, from some calamity, from some suffering, then what should he think about? That if before this my state was very good, I must have done something that my blessings have been taken away, and now I'm in this state. A person must reflect on his action. That if the state has been changed, what did I do? If my state has been changed, for good or for worse, what did I do? I must have done something. Many times we just blame the decree. Yes, it is part of the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but there is also something that we have done. So Allah does not change the state until the people change themselves. وَإِذَا, and when أَرَادَ اللَّهُ, Allah intends, بِقَوْمٍ, with a people, سُوءًا, some evil. When Allah intends to afflict some people with some su', with some harm, with some evil, with some calamity, misfortune, then what happens? فَلَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ, then there is no averting for it. Maradda, from the root letters, Ra, Dal, Dal, Rad. And Rad is to return something, to send it back. And the word marad is actually maf'al. How? What's the root? Ra, Dal, Dal. So it's maf'al, mardad. But that's changed into marad. Inshallah, when you will do fi'l, you will learn that sometimes in root letters, if there's a harf illa, ya, alif, waw, or for example, there is a hamza, or for example, two letters that are coming together side by side, they are exactly the same, like in this case, ra, dal, dal, then what happens? The structure changes slightly. Why? For the ease of pronunciation. Like for example, qala. What's the root? Qaf, waw, lam. And what's the structure of qala? Fa'ala. So what should it technically be? Qawala. It should be qawala. But qawala changes into qala. Similarly, qila. It was said. The structure is quwila. You know that? It's fu'ila, quwila. But that's changed into qila, because it's easier to pronounce that. So similarly, marad is actually maf'al, but mardad is changed into marad. Why? For the ease of pronunciation. And also the word sounds much better like that. And marad is, first of all, ism zarf. So what does it mean by that? A place or time of return. A place or time of return. Of resistance. And secondly, marad is, remember, maf'al is also used for other structures, for other words as well. What is it used for? One of them is masdar. Have you done that? Zarf, it's also used for ism maf'ul, and it's also used for masdar. Which masdar? Masdar? Mimi. Mimi. Why is it called masdar mimi? Because the word starts with a meme. Because generally what happens, a masdar doesn't always start with a meme. Like for example, qawl. Qawl is also a masdar. Does it start with a meme? No. Right? Similarly, nasr. Nasr is also masdar. Does it start with meme? No. Fath, that is also masdar. It doesn't start with meme. But some masdar, they start with meme. And they're called masdar mimi. Mimi. It sounds funny, but masdar mimi, it's to be able to easily identify. So, marad, secondly, is masdar mimi. And what does that mean? Repulsion, resistance, driving back. So there is no marad for it, meaning there is no place or time of averting that punishment. And there is no resistance to that punishment. No repulsion, no driving it away. In other words, when Allah has intended to send a punishment upon a people, when He has intended to send some calamity, some misfortune, some harm, then no one can prevent Allah's decision from taking place. No one can avert that punishment. No one can find the time to escape it. No one can find any place to get out of it from. There is no way of avoiding it. وَمَا لَهُمْ, and they do not have, مِن دُونِهِ, from other than Him, مِن وَال, any guardian. Wal is actually wali. From the root letters, waw, lam, ya. There's wali. Who is wali? Guardian. And there's also wal. Wal is ism fa'il. It's from the word wali. So wal is also guardian, protector, defender, friend. And they do not have besides Allah any guardian. Meaning no one can protect them. No one can guard them. No one can save them from the calamity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent their way. وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا فَلَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ وَمَا لَهُم مِّن دُونِهِ مِن وَالٍ. That when Allah intends to send a calamity to some people, they cannot avoid it, no matter how much they have prepared for it from before. There is no way of avoiding it. No matter what they have done to protect themselves, no matter what they have done to secure themselves in case some disaster happens, whether they have built walls or they have built their buildings in such a way that can be saved even in severe earthquakes, still nothing can protect them. Nothing can avert the punishment. Nothing can avert the calamity. Nothing at all. And they have no wali, no wal, no guardian, no protector besides Allah. We see over the course of history that so many nations were destroyed. So many nations. One nation after the other. And even today, one calamity, one natural disaster after the other. If you think about it, just from the beginning of this year, so many earthquakes have occurred. So many. Whether it's earthquakes, or it is floods, or it is tsunamis, or it is hurricanes, this is what you think about. So, when a misfortune comes to a people, no matter how developed they are, no matter how firmly established they are, when a calamity comes their way, they cannot do anything to avoid it. Nothing at all. If you think about it recently, the flood that came to Pakistan. Pakistan was very underdeveloped. Very underdeveloped, especially in the areas where the floods came. I mean, people's houses were built of mud and clay. So when the water came, it washed everything. But on the other hand, when the tsunami hit Japan, Japan was so developed. But at the end, you look at the pictures, you cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference. No matter how developed someone is, no matter how established he is, when Allah sends a calamity, a person cannot avoid it. No one can avoid it. And this happens at individual levels as well as collective levels, at national levels. Like, for example, a person could be extremely healthy, extremely fit. But if Allah intends that he should become ill, then you wonder, how is it possible? A person who was perfectly fine, extremely healthy, all of a sudden, he's down with a very major illness. So when Allah sends an evil, no one can avert it. What does this show? Why is this being mentioned? What does this demonstrate? The power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you notice, in the entire surah, this is the theme. All of the things that are mentioned over here, they demonstrate the power, the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His knowledge, His creation, His decisions, what He sends towards people. وَمَا لَهُم مِّن دُونِهِ مِن وَالٍ. هُوَ الَّذِي, He is the one who. Another sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power. That He is the one who يُرِيكُمُ الْبَرْقَ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا. He shows you the lightning. Al-barq is lightning. So He shows you lightning, the lightning that is in the sky, and He shows it to you as khawf, as fear, وَطَمَعًا, and also as hope. Meaning when you see that lightning, what happens? You become worried, you become fearful, and at the same time, there's also hope. Fear of what? Fear of being struck by that lightning. Fear of that lightning falling onto the earth, destroying people, animals, lands, etc. And tama'an, hope. Hope of what? Rain. وَيُنْشِئُ, and He raises, from the root letters nun, sheen, hamza. Nasha'a, to rise, and insha, to cause something to rise. So He raises, meaning He produces, He creates, He brings into being, as-sahaba, the clouds, that are as-siqal, that are very heavy, the heavy ones. As-siqal is a plural of Thaqeel, from the root letters, sa, qaf, lam. And thaqeel is heavy, thiqal, ones that are heavy. So He produces heavy clouds, meaning clouds that are heavy with what? Water. Rain-bearing clouds. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us lightning, on one side there is fear, and on the other side there is hope. If you think about it, it's one thing, but it brings about completely opposite, different feelings in people. And this is what we saw in Surah Yusuf as well. That everything that happens, it has its opposite. Where you are sad today, you will be happy tomorrow. Where you're suffering from loss today, you will be victorious tomorrow. So similarly, lightning, when we see it, there's fear and there's also hope. And if you think about it, when there is lightning and it's followed by a storm, that storm could bring about two opposite results as well. On the one hand, it could cause plants to grow, it could make the entire air very nice and fresh, and on the other hand, it would bring about destruction. وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ, and the thunder exalts. Exalts who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ar-Rad is from the root letters Ra, Ain, Dal, and this is what the surah is named after. And Rad is the sound of thunder. It is a loud rumbling or crashing sound that is heard when? After a lightning flash. So the barq comes first, then comes what? The Rad. So you see the lightning first, and then after the lightning you hear the thunder. Notice that. You must notice that. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions these words, it's not just randomly, just by chance He mentioned barq first and then He mentioned Rad. No, there's a reason. Because lightning comes first and then you hear the sound. So وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ, the thunder, as you hear it, in reality what's happening? You just hear a very loud blast. But in reality, the thunder is actually glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bihamdihi, with His praise. Meaning with praise of Him. Yusabbihu, tasbih, to exalt, to declare the perfection of someone. So the thunder declares the perfection of Allah. How? By doing His hamd, by praising Him. And how does the thunder do that? By the sound that it produces. Because وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. There is nothing except that it is glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His praise. Every single creature praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُمْ, but you do not understand their tasbih. You think it's just a sound. But in reality, this creation, what is it doing? It's glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ, and the angels. Meaning, and the angels also praise Him at the same time, min khifatihi, from His fear, from His awe. Khifa, from the root letters kha, wa, fa. وَيُرْسِلُ, and He sends الصَّوَاعِقَ, the thunderbolts. الصَّوَاعِق is the plural of صَاعِقَ. Remember that lesson that we learned in Surah Al-Baqarah? The example of the hypocrites? All these words were mentioned over there. And what is a صَاعِقَ? It's a thunderbolt that falls to the ground. That falls from the sky, from the heavy clouds, where? To the ground. So to put these three words together, barq is the flash of lightning that you see in the sky. And then it's followed by Ra'd. It's followed by the thunder, which sometimes is followed by sa'iqa, the lightning falling down from the sky. So وَيُرْسِلُ الصَّوَاعِقَ, and He sends the thunderbolts, and when He sends them, فَيُصِيبُ, so He reaches, biha, with it, مَن يَشَاء, whomever He wills. Whoever He wills, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strikes him with what? With the thunderbolts. Such so that a person sometimes even dies because of that thunderbolt. And sometimes it happens, وَهُمْ, while they are, meaning while the people are, يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ, they are disputing concerning Allah. وَهُمْ, wa has been understood in two ways. That first of all, while. That right when people are busy arguing and debating about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a thunderbolt from the sky striking that person. Why? To show His might, to show His power, to remind the people that I am listening to what you're saying. You dare argue concerning me? I'm listening to you. I'm watching you. I know what you're doing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends this to remind people at the very occasion when they are busy arguing about Him. It happens many times that a person is doing something wrong. And right at that time, something bad happens. And when that happens, you're like, maybe what I was doing was not right. I shouldn't have been doing it. And for example, you're walking somewhere, you're shouting, you're yelling at someone, and all of a sudden you hit your toe against the table. And then you're like, I shouldn't be saying this. So when you're doing something wrong, and at that moment you're struck by something, you realize what you're doing was wrong. So وَهُمْ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ. And secondly, what has been understood as yet? That look at the might and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That He shows you lightning, He makes you hear the thunder, and the thunder is actually the praise. And the angels begin praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment. And then Allah sends down thunderbolt from the sky, from the clouds. And yet the people, they argue about Allah. Yet they argue whether or not He exists. Look at the power of Allah. Who does all of this? Yet they argue about Him, about His existence, about His oneness, about whether or not He is the one who sent the Qur'an. وَهُمْ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. And He is severe in the assault. Al-mihal is from the root letters Mim, Ha, Lam. Mim, Ha, Lam. From the word mahl. And mahl is to impose a calamity, to impose some disaster, to strike someone with a disaster. And it's basically to skillfully do this. To skillfully, with a lot of skill, with a lot of power, impose a calamity on someone, a severe retribution against someone, so that they cannot escape. So وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. And He is severe in the assault. Because think about it. For example, what is mentioned over here is thunderbolts, right? The way they strike people, or the way they strike buildings, and sometimes trees, can people avoid them at all? Can they? No, they can't. There is no way of avoiding it. You can do things from before, but if you happen to be outside at that time, and if it happens to fall on you, what can you do to avoid it? Nothing. So mihal, to skillfully impose a calamity on someone that they cannot escape. And to do it with one's might and power. وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. He is very severe in the assault. So what do we learn in this ayah? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions one of His signs that demonstrate His power, that demonstrate His authority. And in particular, what has been mentioned? The thunder and the thunderbolts. And in particular, what has been mentioned about the thunder is that وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ. The ra'd, the thunder, it glorifies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And upon the thunder, what happens? The angels also, they begin to glorify Allah out of His fear. Why is this being mentioned over here? That, look at the creation. What does the creation do? It glorifies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you, O human being, you should also do the same. You should also do the same. That you should also glorify your Lord. When every single creature is glorifying Allah with whatever sound that it can produce, you can express yourself with words, yet you don't do tasbih of Allah, yet you argue concerning Him, yet you're using this ability to speak against Him. What are you doing? And if all of the creation is praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is also required from us, that we must also do tasbih. And in particular, when we hear thunder, what should we do? Instead of screaming, and instead of saying, wow, what should we say? We should glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. We should also glorify Allah. And this was the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. That whenever there was thunder, whenever there was lightning, he would do tasbih of Allah. And he would also make a particular dua, which is that Allahumma la taqtulna bighadabik. That, O Allah, do not kill us with your anger. وَلَا تُهْلِكْنَا بِعَذَابِكَ. Nor destroy us with your punishment. وَعَافِنَا قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ. And save us pardon us before that. Is it easy? 3 sentences. First of all, Allahumma la taqtulna bighadabik. La taqtulna from qatl. Do not kill us bighadabik with your anger. Say it. Second sentence, وَلَا تُهْلِكْنَا بِعَذَابِكَ. Tuhlikna is from halak. So do not destroy us with your punishment. وَعَافِنَا قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ. And pardon us before that. It's very short, very easy to memorize. Make sure you do that, because at the time of thunder, you will only have moments to recite this. At that time, you won't be able to open up your juz or find Fortress of the Muslim and find out where the dua is. Especially if you're outside somewhere. So make sure you memorize this. It's very, very short, only 3 sentences, and teach it to children, your younger siblings, so that every time there is thunder, instead of getting scared, what should we do? Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that, oh Allah, do not punish us. Rather, forgive us. And Amir ibn Abdullah ibn Zubayr, whenever there was thunder, he would stop talking. Like for example, if he was in the middle of a conversation, if he was talking to someone, he would just become silent. And he would say, glory be to the one whom the thunder glorifies with his praise, and the angels from fear of him. Subhanalladhi yusabbihu ar-ra'du bihamdihi wal malaikatu min khifatihi. This is what he would say. So this teaches us that when we hear thunder, when we see lightning, then we should also stop at that moment and reflect at the power of Allah, the ability of Allah. And this thunder, it kind of warns us, it reminds us that the punishment of Allah is not far. It's not far at all. You may have heard of stories in which people have been struck by lightning. How? That there was a storm going on outside, they picked up the phone, and through the phone, they got struck. Through the microwave, they got struck. They held something, through it, the electric current passed, and it struck them. So this reminds us that the punishment of Allah is not far. It is reported in a Hadith Qudsi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, that if only my servants fully obeyed me, if only they obeyed me, I would surely water them with rain by night. Why by night? So they don't get disturbed by it during the day. And I would cause the sun to shine on them by day. Every day it would be a sunny day, if my servants truly obeyed me. And I would not make them hear the sound of thunder. I would not make them hear the sound of thunder, if they truly obeyed me, if they fully obeyed me. And this is mentioned in Musnad Ahmad. Similarly, the Prophet ﷺ also said, this is a hadith in Tabarani, that remember Allah, make dhikr of Allah when you hear the thunder of lightning, because it cannot harm the one who is engaged in dhikr. So when you hear thunder, what should you do? Do dhikr of Allah, because the one who is engaged in the dhikr of Allah, the lightning will not strike him. So, what does it show to us? That the thunder, the lightning, it is of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that shows to us His power, His ability, and reminds us that His punishment is not far. Therefore, when we hear it, when we see it, we should become fearful. We should reflect at that moment, we should seek His forgiveness, pray for protection, and also glorify Allah at that moment. And we should also keep a check on our actions, that what is it that we're doing? What is it that we did wrong? That this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making us hear this loud blast that is terrifying us, that is scaring us. Sometimes if there's a big thunderstorm, in the night you're not able to sleep. You keep hearing the lightning. It worries you, it scares you. So we should check on our actions, that what is it that we're doing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making us hear this?